passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver, Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world, wait for it, one Om at a time. And today, as always, on a second Thursday of the month, we have none other than the ever effervescent, lovely Rev Lori Powers-Otto, who will be joining us for Thoughtful Thursday. As we share things to make you thoughtful, we share people who are doing thoughtful things. We are here to give you good news, inspire, and motivate you. And that's what we do on the second Thursday of the month. And I couldn't have a better co-host to do it with. Lori, how are you?
I am wonderful, Dr. Kevin. How are you today?
Well, it's a busy time.
Yes, sir.
And, as the pandemic numbers soar again, as we broke new records right here in our lovely state of New Hampshire, who's still very low on the totem pole. We're like 47th out of 50. And I say that as it's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know which way the numbers go. But between our last few years with the circus show in Washington and now this with the pandemic in 2020 and everything that continues to go on, I've said this before, but we're looking at literally post-traumatic stress syndrome with half of America for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
No doubt. An election is not going to heal people from the drama and the trauma and the lies and the pandemic and we see the drama continue. So it's busy. I'm not worried about being out of a job.
Yeah. I hear that.
So I would like to, we always like to try to find lots of stories and things that we can share to give people something to feel good about, to remind people there's good news in the world and there are positive things happening, and we just have to focus on those sometimes. But I want to start by passing something on to our listeners tonight that I regularly use in my practice. And I tell my clients as they're getting stressed, as they're looking at this thing, as they feel out of control and powerless, and I know that there's lots of groups that use this, but I am a big fan of the Serenity Prayer. And I say, and I just finished telling a couple of my clients today, find a good copy you like, find multiple presentations of it if you want, print it out like you were going to wallpaper your house with it, put it in places you can see it, and when something happens, read it, and then ask yourself these questions. Am I doing everything I can do in this situation? If I'm not, then what can I do? And let's do it. If I am, then I need to say, so when do I need to check in again? And I need to let it go until then. And if I can't do anything, and I'm never going to be able to do anything more than what I'm doing, then I'm going to need to let it go and find faith. We can only do what we can do.
Amen.
But we have to ask the question, are we doing? And sometimes that doing may be signing a petition. It may be watching a video that gives you knowledge and information that can help you bring about the changes you'd like to see. Sometimes it's about going out on a really crappy day and just doing an act of kindness.
Yes. Yes. Couldn't agree with that more, Dr. Kevin. I really could not.
We must be the light.
Yes, and add on to that. You said sign a petition. I've had people say, well, that doesn't do anything. But I have firsthand personal experience of how that does make a big difference. You can, if you see something you don't like out there in the world, signing a petition puts that out to the universe. It puts it out to the masses. And when when a bunch of people jump on a cause, it almost always swings the correct way. Well, it always swings the correct way. You just might not agree with it. So get out there and just start small. Little things like the litter crew I keep talking about. Get out, pick up some trash if you're feeling stuck and frustrated and unhappy with how things are going. You're tired of this pandemic and you want to do something. Well, let's do something positive. Let's go clean up a park or, hiking trails, or just to get out and walk your neighborhood and talk to your neighbors from a socially distance.
Can I take my heavy duty contractor, 5 or 10 ply big garbage bags, and can I take them to the White House and take the trash out? Would that help?
You could try. Well, I guarantee you'd never be forgotten then.
Yeah, I will never be forgotten. I'm not sure it will be for anything I want to be remembered for, but I'll never be forgotten. I'm not worried about that one.
Yeah, definitely not. You are memorable, but that's because you're so wonderful.
I was going to say most nightmares are. So, yes, what can I do? What can you do? What can we do? And can we do it from an enlightened place? Can we do it from a place of love? And I look at these people, and some of the stuff out there that I see people who talk about being spiritual people that are buying into trying to make Trump the savior of our democracy. I see how deeply wounded all of the others are. And the reason why the Trumps of the universe get so much power and do so much damage and get so many followers is because we underestimate the power of the other. All the people, for whatever reason, that feel like they were the other. And when one group of others suddenly become a group that's included or too much energy goes to, some other group feels like it has to fight for its place to be seen, to be heard, whatever, and they are going to follow whoever is the flag carrier for it. And that's what we have going on now, because I have people that are just really horrifyingly convinced that this is a great, big, huge conspiracy theory that's trying to make Trump look bad. He doesn't need a theory to look bad. He does it all on his own.
Yeah,
I mean, those are his words coming out of his mouth.
Yep. I tell you, God has given that man so many opportunities to be great, to be wonderful, and he has squandered every single one of them. He could.
Yep.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, you go, Kevin.
No, I think that But I think that it's one of those things, and I have found it deeply. I had to get to the point to realize I, on some level, was being as sucked in and used by this situation as everybody who I was pointing a finger at, and I would give into the anger and the frustration, and I'd start to think, I've had people that have, are spiritual people, whatever that means, but I've had people that have, talked about, oh my God, I just want to start a GoFundMe and hire three assassins to take out the 3 Supreme Court justices who are going to put us back in the Dark Ages. And they would never do it. It's not as serious. It's a rant to somebody that they trust. I get that. But I watch these people, and yes, this is frustrating, but as people who have a spiritual perspective of the world, we have to find compassion for the people that are so wounded that they would buy this bullshit and eat it like it was pate and big scoopfuls on turd crackers, and they just think it's wonderful. And it is a sign of a sad, sad wound. And it doesn't mean we have to agree or tolerate it, but we need to find compassion. Set boundaries, but compassionately. Do what we feel is right, but compassionately. If we, even on high, as people that represent themselves as spiritual people in the community, come down and are making these hateful, hurt our heart statements, but we're so numb we don't feel the hurt of the statements that we're making, but it still hurts us, then we are no better than the evangelicals who say he's the second coming of Christ. And it's so hard to be there, and it's so hard to hold in that place. And I have that battle just as much as anyone else does, but I recognize the battle, and so many of them don't. It's like becoming the wounded, angry, hateful person, but painting it with, but I'm a spiritual person brush, so it's okay. They're still winning. They're winning the us and them game that keeps us separated.
Right. I mean, and to follow up on that, and this, what I'm about to say might not be very popular, but yes, we need to treat everybody who thinks differently than us with compassion and love, and even respect to have their own opinions. But that doesn't mean you have to be best friends with them. And that's where I have to draw the line. I'm sorry, your morals go against my morals. And I can't be your BFF. But that doesn't mean I hate you or I disrespect you. Well, there might be a few, but I'm only human. So like you said, we have to make sure that we are not becoming the people that we supposedly dislike.
Yes.
And a lot of people.
And as far as I'm concerned, we don't have to respect them. Respect is earned. You don't get respect because of the initials behind your name or the title in front of it. You don't automatically get respect because of your age or your gender or your race. No, respect is earned. And I don't need to disrespect you, but I also don't have to respect you. And I can choose to not want to be in your energy without being hateful to you, because then I'm just increasing the level of hate in the world. And
exactly.
So I want to share the first little piece of good news I have. I'm going to hopefully get this in before we go on first break, and then I'm going to let you share some fabulously wonderful story of that you have found to bring our listeners this week into a place of joy for this time. So there's a list that came out right after the elections, and I just want to go over this list of milestones that got lost in a lot of times. There are many. This is an election of a lot of firsts, just like our last election was, and both of these are good signs. You know, first openly transgendered state senator elected in Delaware. Then we had New Mexico becomes the first state to elect all women of color to the House. And it's interesting, the 2 Democrats and a Republican. First Muslim non-binary state senator in Oklahoma. First openly gay, Afro-Latino, and Black men to serve in the U.S. Congress. And that was out of New York, but we're also talking Oklahoma, New Mexico. Let me see, what else is on this? Missouri's first Black congresswoman, long overdue. In Vermont, Taylor Small will be the first transgendered person to serve in the state legislature. Oh, hello.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I thought I was hearing the music come on. First trans Native American to hold office in this country. Another first. Okay, so we had some firsts and we need to celebrate them. We are becoming more diverse in our government, whether they like it or not. And we'll be right back here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. This is Thoughtful Thursday, the second Thursday of the month, where we talk about things to make you thoughtful. talk about people doing thoughtful things to inspire and motivate you. You're welcome to join the conversation at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057. And share something thoughtful that you or somebody else that you did. Share with us some everyday hero to inspire and motivate, that there is all things that we can do to keep the lights on and keep this country moving in a positive direction, even when sometimes it feels like we're moving against the tide. But that's what a tide does. It goes in and it goes out, and then it comes back in again. And I am here with Reverend Lori Powers-Otto. She is my thoughtful girl. Yo-ho. Was that insulting that I called you a girl?
Insulting? That wasn't insulting. Oh, no. Why would that be insulting?
Sometimes people take umbrage when I call a woman that as a woman a girl. There are some people that find umbrage with that. But since I freely admit that there are days when I'm just one of the girls, I figure I can use it. But I like to check and make sure. Some days I'm one of the girls. Some days I'm one of the boys. Some days I'm just one of the whatevers.
There you go.
There we go. So, yes, we had a lot of firsts. We had some firsts in very interesting places: Oklahoma, Missouri, New Mexico. There was a plethora of different firsts: transgender, non-binary, gay, Latino, Native American, all over the place. So we are moving towards a more diverse, both state and federal government. It's way too slow for my likes, but then who the hell am I? So, did you have a story you'd like to share, or a comment you'd like to make on the list?
No, I think the list is wonderful, and I agree. I did celebrate all these wonderful accomplishments. It warms my heart to see that we are finally becoming more inclusive, that we are finally working toward everybody being part of the family. And I just think that's a wonderful, amazing thing. But it is funny because you were talking about the girls, and one of the stories I wanted to tell is not an unfamiliar story. We've heard it happen a couple times, but it was, there was the in Ann Arbor, Michigan, there was the state finals for track, and of course, lots of people running, but there was one girl who collapsed right before the finish line. And we've heard about this happening in marathons and stuff, but you don't really hear this happening with local sports for kids on opposing teams. But one of the other girls just picked her up and took her across the finish line so that she could still finish the race. And I always find those so uplifting, those stories, because that shows that the parents or the coach or somebody is teaching these students what's important. Yes, being number one is everybody's goal, but caring about other people and helping them first, to accomplish the same goal you're trying to accomplish is a wonderful and beautiful thing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it's that, are we going to focus on the win for one or the win for all? Are we going to focus on being a country that cooperates or creates a competitive environment that toxifies those people that, for whatever reason, cannot be competitive in the race of life?
Right.
So I think that's a great story.
Yeah, I love when, the kids, anyone under 18, and they are doing so many amazing and wonderful things that we are just not giving them near enough credit for. And everybody says, oh, there's no good news out there, but there is. I mean, just look at, there's a whole Facebook page called Some Good News. It's all good news. Every story on it is nothing but good news. Chaos and Kindness, the band. Looking at their website or their Facebook page, story after story after story of positiveness, of wonderful things, and people giving back to each other. And it's, you might have to look a little bit, but you can find the positive. Stop feasting on the negative and the, perceived wrongs of the world, and start looking for the positives, because my gosh, what a difference it can make in your day or your life.
Absolutely. And the energy that we enter it with, the attitude that we enter it with, and, this is one of the things, because, in the first segment I talked about one of the things I encourage my clients to do to help kind of do this shift. And the other thing is I was explaining how healing or how helpful like laughter is, and how much, and if we get a good belly laugh in on our own, it's good. If we get a belly laugh in with somebody that we love, it's even worth more de-stress points. And if we can get a belly laugh in that includes giggles with small children, especially if they're ours, we go right off the chart with de-stressing points for that moment.
Yes. Yes.
Distress don't live here no more. No. I'm laughing and giggling with my 3-year-old. There is no stress in this moment. And and when I step out of this moment, I can take a choice to not pick the stress back up if I don't want to, or at least some parts of it.
Exactly.
So speaking of kids, so what I wanted to say, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting myself. And again, people, if you have done something thoughtful, or there's somebody out there that you have experienced the thoughtful action of, or in your local community, if you have what I like to call an everyday hero, and you want to share that, you can call in at 202-570-7057 and share your story with Lori and I, because we love these stories and we love to inspire and motivate people. But one of the things I do, you talked about a Facebook page, but I have two different joke mailing lists I'm on. So I get 2 different jokes a day, and I have a healthy, happy news I get a day, sometimes twice a day, highlighting a quote and one positive news story. And of course, I get it in my mailbox. And, one of the things about us creating this particular Thursday was semi-selfish on my part. Semi-selfish because, first of all, I get to spend time with one of my favorite people in the world, even if it is on air, not in person. But selfish on my part that it makes me open these emails and see what are the best stories to share. So every day I am absolutely, without having to go look for it, reading a positive story. And when I get into a frustrated moment or something that doesn't go right, or the technology goes bad or whatever, I go, now's the time to open up my joke of the day. And sometimes I open it up and I go, that was a really bad joke. But I laugh anyways.
Yeah.
I go, really? Oh, that's the best you can do? Boy.
Yeah.
But it still makes me laugh. And
right.
So for all of the, I get some newsletters that are about the news from sources that I trust that are going to give me a less biased view. And I read those because I do believe in staying somewhat in touch with the world and kind of, But I'm telling people, your prescription from Dr. Kevin, get on a joke email a day and get on a good news email a day. And make yourself decide, and you take those emails PRN. In other words, when needed. But make sure that you take them every day. So that's my advice. What do you think of that?
Oh, I 100% agree. I start my morning every day with 2 different angel messages and a message from the universe that are always positive and uplifting and always put you in a good mood. And then we have a mutual friend that posts the vibe of the day every day. And they're always uplifting. I like to start my day with those because it sets the tone for the day. You know, I'm not getting up, turning the 24-hour news channel and starting my day listening to blah, 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 blah. I'm getting positivity to start my day. And I just think we could all do that. That it's such an easy thing to do, to just reframe how our day begins.
Yeah. I find that I like starting my day. I have a choice of cranberries or peaches or oranges, or I'm gonna forget the last flavor I have. There's peaches, there's oranges, there's cranberries, and there's one other, and I'm blanking on it right now. But there are these wonderful, they're canned mimosas. So I start my day with a mimosa. So it's a Bellini if it's peach schnapps and vodka, and champagne in the can. Cranberry or champagne in the can. Orange juice or champagne in the can. And I find starting with a piece of canned fruit every morning soaked in champagne is a wonderful way to start your day, just saying.
That's nice. I just do lemon blueberry water, but hey, maybe I'll start doing your champagne things.
What can I say? I like bubbles. If it's carbonated, I like it. And champagne is just carbonated grapes, so I'm just eating grapes that are carbonated, so to speak. It works, right? So on that note, let me share the next story with you. I actually started a new client today, and I cracked her up 3 or 4 times, and I was talking about how important for your internal system and your chemicals in your brain and your hormones and your immune system and all this stuff, how good laughter is. I said my goal is that, anywhere from 8 to 10 times per session, I've got to crack my client up in the middle of giving them really serious messages that they have to stop and work on and get stuff. It's like, so I give you something and you go, and then I make you laugh. And you go, and then I give you something, and then I make you laugh.
Love it. Love it.
So, I don't know if you saw this one or not. You may have. You and I hunt some of the same sites. 6th grader who sells dollar lemonade for diapers and wipes for single moms.
Oh, yeah.
Cartier. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I was going to say, tell the world again how old this person is.
He is a 6th grader. I'm going to get to his age at some point, but it's going to be around 12 or 13. 11. Cartier Carey starts with helping the homeless and now single mothers in his community. He sells lemonade, buys diapers, and wipes with his earnings and gives them through local churches, shelters, and organizations. He has already set up a nonprofit organization to encourage other youth to help out in the community. From helping the homeless to making care packages last year, Cartier Carey has now provided diapers and wipes to single mothers in the U.S. and some parts of the world during their coronavirus pandemic. His funds come from his lemonade stand and a GoFundMe page. So 11 years old, this is what he said. If some people, like the homeless, don't have what they need, they're not going to live for a long time. It's hard to see, so I love to help out.
Oh.
His organization is called Kids for Change 757, urging the youth to volunteer and help out in their community. And he added, I want to keep doing things like this for the rest of my life.
Wow.
11 years old.
That's impressive. Yes. See, that. And now if an 11-year-old can do that, why can't all of us? I mean, let's face it, especially in the country, the vast majority of us have way more than we need. But let's give that to the people that need it. And then that leaves us room for blessings to enter our lives.
Yep.
What a hero.
Yep. I'm trying to see. He is a... I don't know. I can't see which community he comes from. He distributes care packages that include soap, hand warmers, tissues, liquid sanitizers, and snacks and water to the homeless last year. This year, he sold the lemonade, and he collected more than $7,500 from the stand. They used this to purchase almost 28,000 diapers and wipes for single mothers.
Wow.
And then, with the help of his mother, he set up a GoFundMe that's already raised $34,000.
Wow.
And he receives requests for diapers from parents from the U.S. and around the world. The sixth grader feels like he's doing the right thing. So,
and he is. Wow.
Wonderful. He is. And I do want to say he is, from looking, he is a young black male. And I just want to mention that because there's so much misinformation that comes when you say, so there's this 11-year-old black male, and you wouldn't believe what he's doing. And you have those people that roll their eyes and say, probably what? Graffiti, robbing stores. What is he doing? And so I just had to mention that this is what this 11-year-old young black man is doing. And he wants to do it for the rest of his life. So what are you doing to help the world before you get all judgmental is my question back to those people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm so tired of some of the stereotypes. They just make right on nails on a chalkboard. Nails on a chalkboard. So anyways, so tell me, what is your next story of delight? Well, we're going to hear it when we get back because we're taking our break here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wounds?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother.
911, what is your emergency?
Okay.
911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked. It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment of the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. That sound you may have just heard was me popping that bottle of champagne I was talking about earlier. I don't know. Did you hear the pop, Lori?
I did not.
Oh, God. I should have held the cork closer to the phone. Anyways, here we have Thoughtful Thursday, where Rev Lori Powers-Otto and I are discussing things to make you thoughtful, are talking about people that are doing thoughtful things in the world to inspire and motivate you. And we invite you to share your story of either you or someone you know being an everyday hero. And you would do that at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057. If you have a story you'd like us to share, but you're a little bashful and you don't necessarily want to call in, but you'd like us to share the story of your everyday hero, you can send us an email. Send the email to Dr. Kevin, DrKevin, at weboflight, WEBOFLIGHT, weboflight.com. And just put in the subject line, My Everyday Hero. And I'll make sure that I bring those stories on air so that Lori and I and our listeners can celebrate your everyday hero or celebrate you as somebody else's everyday hero. So what do you think of that, Lori?
I think that's wonderful. I hope many people email us so that we can share these things. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, let's just look at Halloween this year. I mean, how challenging was that? What are you going to do? You have to social distance. You have to wear masks. And here it was cold, really cold that night. And I want to shout out to everybody who made that night wonderful. In my neighborhood alone, several people, including myself, put fires out in our, front yard so that people could warm up. And some people had tables and some people had chutes, and everybody stepped up. And the kids, at least in my neighborhood, had such a great time that they gave all the one big group of them took a group picture because they all pod anyway. And they gave copies to the neighbors who made the night so special. But that happened all over this country where people, they didn't want to let go of something that means so much to children. So they got creative and special and made it even more special than a normal trick-or-treat night. And I find that hopeful and inspiring.
Absolutely. We had a neighbor that set up what I thought looked like it was a clothesline in between two trees. And what she did is she had the grab bags with clothespins out there so the kids could go by and take them off the clothesline. I was like,
see?
How inventive. How inventive.
Right. And everybody got to have a good time. Yeah, I too made up little bags so that the kids could just come and grab bags, and put funny, faces on it and stuff like that. And, but there was another story because, you keep still hearing about the defund the police and police are bad and whatever. And anyone who knows me knows I am a big supporter of the police, but I readily will call out a bad cop. I just will, because there's no place for them. But what I love is this one story that I wanted to share with you tonight about this cop, and it does not give his name anywhere. And I wonder if that's for his I don't know why. But he is a Caucasian officer. And he goes to this one neighborhood, and in the picture that they show, they're all little black boys sitting around him. So I assume it's a neighborhood that, he patrols. And this goes back to reducing stress as well. But every day, after every shift that he works, he goes back to that neighborhood with snacks and soda, and he hangs out with the kids, and sometimes they play games or football, and when it's hot out, he'll bring a slip and slide and water guns. And in the winter, he brought these kids coats and hoodies. And he does that to build neighborhood, to build community, to build trust between himself and these young men. And I just think nobody makes him do it. No, he's not forced to do it. He does this out of the goodness of his heart. And we can all do that, that type of thing. Get to know your neighbors. I mean, even if they're not literally in your neighborhood, if they're in your community, get to know them. And you don't have to spend all the money he spends. Just spend time. I mean, you can get water guns $1 a piece at any dollar store, and have fun. I find that going in the right direction. I find it inspiring.
Yep. That is an everyday hero.
Yes, an everyday hero.
Everyday hero. Well, I saw this video, and you may have seen it. I posted it on my line. It brought me to tears. And it was this old man, and he was before the judge.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah, and the judge said, you're here because you were basically speeding in a school zone. And the guy's like, I don't drive that fast. He goes, I don't. He goes, I only drive because I have to take my son to the doctor twice a week because he has cancer and he's handicapped, so I have to take him. And the judge, who was being very human, and that's what we forget, that we want people who are human in these positions, not robots. And he says, how old are you? And the guy says, I'm 96. He says, you're 96 years old and you drive your son twice a week to the doctor's appointment. And he goes, yeah, he'd have no other way to get there. And he said, how old is your son? And he goes, he's 63. And he's like, and you're still taking care of him? And he goes, I'm doing my best. And the guy dismissed the charges because maybe he was going 5 miles over. Maybe, he's 96 years old. Maybe he was going a little fast, and then he told the man what a good man he was and a good father. And I watched that and I teared up. And even saying it, I teared up. That we've just bought into so much divisiveness, and so much of people that are they're just using their religion or their law or whatever to be hateful, to be mean. And I don't know. It just touched me in places I can't even talk about watching this video. In fact, I posted it on my personal timeline, but I think I'm going to go back and repost it over to Dr. Kevin. And anybody that wants to see this video, if you haven't seen it, you can go to MyDrKevin. I'll probably not get it up until the weekend, not knowing my schedule. But I want to get that video out. I just want people to know that there are good people functioning at all these levels that remember we are one race and our job is to be human and kind and compassionate to each other.
You still there?
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I lost you for a second.
No. I was actually just feeling the emotions of what I was talking about. I know. You can't do that on radio because you can't see my face. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you
have another story.
I don't have a story so much as something that I wanted to read. It's a statement. And it was written by a Nikki Banas, B-A-N-A-S, and it just hit home for me. And I thought it needed to be shared. And it's called Impact. And this is what it says. You never really know the true impact you have on those around you. You never know how much someone needed that smile you gave them. You never know how much your kindness turned someone's entire life around. You never know how much someone needed that long hug or deep talk. So don't wait to be kind. Don't wait for someone else to be kind first. Don't wait for better circumstances or for someone to change. Just be kind, because you never know how much someone needs it.
Beautiful.
And that, right? That just hit me in the heart right there, because it is so true. Today, tomorrow, last year, in 10 years, it will still be true. So let's all get off our duffs and be kind. the best we can.
Well, you know what I always say. I'm every kind, honey. Oh, I have another kid story for you. You ready?
Yes.
Bullied 7-year-old boy spreads love and positivity during pandemic. Kavanaugh Bell wants to spread hope, love, and positivity in spite of being bullied. He started with care packages for his elderly neighbors during COVID-19 from his own savings. Bell is part Native American and has donated to South Dakota's Pine Ridge Indian Reservation with funds from an Amazon wish list and a GoFundMe pages. People respond to bullying in different ways, but this was what this 7-year-old boy had to say. After I was bullied and I felt a darkness inside of me, I know I didn't want other kids to feel the same way I felt. So I asked my mom if she could help me spread love and positivity. And the more I gave back to my community, the more I wanted to keep doing it. And 7 years old.
Wow.
And they got a great picture of him with a big smile. And he's got a T-shirt on that says, "Love yourself."
Nice. I like that a lot. What a thing to learn.
He himself lives in Gatlinburg, I think it's Gatlinburg, Maryland. But his mother took him out to Mount Rushmore, and they stopped by a Native American reservation. And he said, my mom explained to me that people live on the reservation, and some didn't have what they needed to survive. Some of the houses didn't have electricity or running water. By this time, Bell's GoFundMe and Amazon wishlist pages have been receiving a steady flow of in-person donations enough to fill a 53-foot semi-truck twice with essential supplies.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yep. That is impressive. 7 years old.
Wow.
Bell, who is part Native American, said, "It's just a blessing to be helping them. I'm trying to make sure they have what they need to survive, because that's their only land, and they're like my family."
We could all learn from that, huh?
Yeah. Couldn't we just now? He gets it, and he got it because he was being bullied, which I find very interesting. You know, there's all sorts of ways that people play out, and it makes me think of the poem I wrote, Bully, which I just actually released through Poetry Corner, because it's in one of my new poetry books, and I did a poem called Bullying, and I did a vlog version of it where I read the poem and put it out in my Poetry Corner. So if you're interested, you can go sign up on my YouTube channel at MyDrKevin, and you can access the poetry corners that I put out. I've been putting them out off and on for years, but now I got a couple of books out this year of poems, and a couple more are going to come out next year. I've started them up again so that you can sit down and experience the poem by me, the poet, reading it to you. But yeah. It is truly amazing, and these kids give me hope.
Yeah.
And the Amazon wish list. I mean, it's a great way, especially right now with everybody buying so much on Amazon, that people need to check that out. That you can make sure that a little piece of everything you buy goes to your favorite nonprofit, goes somewhere to help somebody else in need. Doesn't cost you a thing. It costs you a little time to set it up and to support something like this kid's page, or the other kid also had a nonprofit that he started. These kids, 7, 11 years old, and I'm obviously with the help of their parents and other people, but they're setting up nonprofits And they're getting donations through people buying stuff off Amazon and selling lemonade. They're doing whatever they can.
Yes,
Well,
and
we'll see all of these.
Crushing them. People think, oh, it's too much, but these kids are proving that it's not. It's not too much. We can all do this.
And they both, the 7-year-old and the 11-year-old, both said some version of, the more I did it, the better I felt. The better I felt about myself, the better I felt about what was going on. But they discovered that magical equation that you get served when you're of service. That when you do good things in the world, you become part of the good things of the world.
Yeah.
Till next month. Well, next week, Lori will be back as we do our astrological update with Rob Stewart from innercenter.org. Tune in 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on OMTimes Radio to see what is coming up in the skies. What will our planetary influences be? See you next week here on the Dr. Kevin Show.